Well, hello, everyone. I am Matt Williamson. We are ending the month of May here, getting into not that far away from training camp, things of that nature. And I thought this was a really in-depth, well-done article by Pro Football Focus today. And the title is 2024 NFL Roster Rankings, Strengths, Weaknesses, and X Factors for Every Starting Lineup. And that X Factor thing is something I wanted to stress for the Steelers. Tomorrow, I might just do the 3 division teams. But today, I wanted to talk about what they had to say about the Steelers, what I agree with, and who that X factor might be. So kind of give that some thought, and we'll do that last today. So the Steelers were ranked the 16th best roster currently, which I'll be honest, it was 4th in the division, but I thought it was a little harsh. I would have had them higher. But to give you some idea, Green Bay's at 13. I think they have a very good roster. The Rams are at 14th. Okay. Atlanta's at 15. I don't think that's bad company to keep. I think those are mostly ascending teams. Obviously, their quarterback situation is a little firmer and, trustworthy than the Steelers is right now too. But that's not bad company to keep. And again, everybody looks good this time of year, so it's hard to nitpick. But how they did this was biggest strength in 2023. And I just want to see if we all agree. They picked pass rush. Okay. I mean, it's pretty much been the team's biggest strength for years now. I mean, they didn't lead the league in sacks for as they often have over the years. But Watt, Highsmith, Herbig's a guy that they're very, very high on and gave a very good grade. So all those guys had over an 80 grade for Pro Football Focus, which is really, really high. I talked about before how many think Highsmith is one of the most underrated players in the league, and I totally agree. Hayward and Benton each had at least 20 pressures, and I think that number should go up. I mean, maybe Hayward's snaps goes down, but I bet his productivity per snap goes up. And Benton, everything I think goes up. So if that's true, and I think that's probably a safe bet of what was their biggest strength last year, do we think it'll be better or worse next year? Now, if we ask every team that, everyone's going to say better because we'll always stay healthy and Cam won't take a step backwards and Herbig's going to turn into the next Highsmith. And it's the land of eternal optimism, as I always talk about, this time of year. But you also have really good, as we talked about yesterday in the mailbag, good work on the mailbag, by the way, really good pass rushing off-the-ball linebackers, and 4 of them that actually do it quite well. 3 do it extremely well. Will their blitz rate go up? I don't know, but they're still going to blitz. Will an Elliott or somebody like that, a slot corner, chip in with a little bit of pass rush / blitz? Maybe, but I'm not counting on that as much. I mean, I think your pass rush is going to come from your front 7. And I think it's got a chance to be very, very good. Best in the league again? Maybe not, but more of a strength than last year. And I also think, teams like the Jets come to mind. Their pass rush would have been a lot better if their offense wasn't so anemic. So if the Steelers are scoring points, making teams drop back to pass, maybe even playing with a lead late in the game, like I talk about this all the time with TJ Watt. Like how many times in TJ Watt's great career has Hines / Acusure been rocking with 4 minutes left on the clock, towels flying, everyone screaming their lungs out, and the opponent's trying to catch up with the Steelers leading by 7 or 8. Like never happens for him. I mean, rarely does everyone on the planet know the opponent's going to throw and Watt can just tee off over his career at home. So maybe get a little more of that as well. BetOnline is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NBA, and NHL playoffs. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow all your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including teams' matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. All right. Biggest weakness in 2023. And I tend to disagree with this one. They just say O-line last year. Beginning of the year was really, really rough. I mean, but then you put Broderick Jones in the mix, and you had two really good guards, and you had two holes. They weren't disasters, though. I mean, I would say, I might even say quarterback, but I would just say the whole passing game and maybe narrow it down to red zone passing was possibly the biggest weakness in the whole team. I mean, it wasn't special teams. It wasn't the ability to take the ball away. Late in the year, obviously, you had those linebackers and safeties off the street, but I wouldn't say that for the entirety of the year. Just the ability to throw touchdown passes. I mean, can we get to 20? I mean, come on. And that, I think, will absolutely improve. Like I've said many times, I think the quarterback position and passing game will be more of a wild card. There'll be more negative plays, but I think they're going to produce more touchdowns. And the scheme sure helps too. A scheme change and a quarterback change, I think, is going to be more passing touchdowns. Like if it isn't, then something's incredibly wrong. I mean, you talk about a low bar to get over. So here's what I really wanted to spend time on. Well, I'll come back to this last. Their rookie to watch is Peyton Wilson. Fine. I mean, I'm fine with that. They also say over under win total 7.5. They pick the over. I think that's kind of an easy one too. I mean, I think that number is too low, 7.5, in a 17 game schedule. But their X factor this year was whoever wins the quarterback battle. And that I don't agree with. I think maybe Justin Fields is an X factor. Can he overtake the starter? Because Russell Wilson's the starter, folks. But who's really the X factor? Is it young offensive linemen? How do they work together? I mean, three highly pedigreed guys that we think are going to start. Is it Arthur Smith and his scheme change and use of more tight ends? Is it the number 2 receiver? I don't think it's Wilson, but I think it could be Fields. Does Fields just blow everyone's doors off in camp and wins the starting job? That's an X factor. I mean, he's extremely talented. Is it one that we don't want to think about as much, like Cam Hayward? If Cam Hayward takes a step back from last year rather than a step forward to what he used to be, well, that's an X factor. These aren't all good things. I don't think a guy like Benton's an X factor. I think because you attack the linebacker position so strong, that eliminates Queen and guys like that from being X factors. Like who are pivotal that could easily go far one way on the seesaw or far one way or the other way that would really have a strong outcome on the fate of this team. A guy I thought of was Jackson, the corner opposite Porter. They seem to love him. I mean, if he could be a very stable and almost say a plus starting corner, which everything implies they think that. And what I mean by that is in a stable environment. He's dealt with so many coaching changes and so many scheme changes that if they could have a plus set of corners, and I know Porter already is, wow. If pass rush is still a strength and you have a pair of corners that are, above average, that's a pretty good start to winning games in a passing league. But how about like Darius Rush? I mean, this guy was a mid-round pick that I frankly thought was going to go in the 3rd round when he came out of school. Had a weird path to get here, and doesn't bother me at all that he wasn't used at all last year, really. But is he the starting slot on day one? I mean, one thing they even did in this article that I wasn't going to dig into, but they put 12 starters on both sides of the ball. Like, for example, they have 3 receivers, Pickens, Jefferson, Roman Wilson. Okay, whatever. I mean, more than 11 guys play a lot. But their 3 corners are Porter, Jackson, and Rush. Now, I frankly think I know more about it than they do, this team in particular. Would I forecast Rush to have the 3rd most snaps at the corner position this year? I don't know. But if he does, you might have something. And I'm sure you guys are going, how about Trice too? Yeah. Or even the 6th round pick. Those guys are talented and big. If they can give us give the team something, more than just, they're active on game day, they run down on kickoffs, they're a punt gunner. Those are smaller X factors. They're not a capital X, they're a lowercase x factors, because they're not going to, Darius Rush is not going to be the difference between winning 12 games and 7. I mean, of course. Could Cam Hayward? Could young offensive lineman as a whole? Yeah. I mean, could number 2, receiver? So I'm just curious, what would be your number 1 Steeler X factor? Is it Arthur Smith? I don't think it's Tomlin. I don't think it's Boswell. I mean, I think these are guys we wholeheartedly know what they are. So that doesn't make them an X factor. So just curious. I found that fun. I'm planning on tomorrow, unless something else pops or catches my eye, that maybe we'll go through a similar, quicker version of the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens. And all of them came above the Steelers in their roster ranks. Steelers were 16. Those guys were all somewhere between like 5 and 12, which I understand. I mean, they have very good rosters. Or if you have something on your mind, hit me up at Williamson NFL. All right, take care.